The house loomed at the edge of the cul-de-sac like a memory no one wanted to revisit. Carla hadn't been back since her grandmother's funeral nearly 2 years ago. The paint had chipped further, the porch sagged a little more, and the lawn had become a tangled mess of weeds and dry grass. But the house itself stood firm, as if daring time to try harder. She parked at the curb, killed the engine, and sat in the silence. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles whitened. She didn't want to be here, not alone. But the house had to be emptied, and a weekend yard sale was the fastest way to get rid of decades of accumulated life. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. Her grandmother had been a collector of everything: porcelain figurines, pressed flowers, ceramic frogs, and clocks that no longer ticked. Every surface held a story, but Carla wasn't here to read them. She just needed to make space. The attic was the worst. Heat pooled there like stagnant water, and the smell of aged wood and mothballs was overwhelming. Boxes lined the sloped walls, most marked in her grandmother's spidery script. One box stood apart, unlabeled, wrapped in twine. Something about it drew her eye. She opened it. Inside was the doll. It was nearly 2 feet tall, dressed in a once blue Victorian dress that had faded to a lifeless gray. Its hands were dainty, molded in a delicate grasping pose. The face was smooth porcelain, painted with faint rose lips and soft cheek blush. But where the eyes should have been, there was nothing. No holes, no paint, just 2 blank pale ovals. It wasn't broken. It had been made that way. A whisper of discomfort brushed over Carla, but she shook it off. It was just a doll, a weird eyeless doll, probably valuable to the right collector. She placed it with the other antiques by the front window. As she turned to leave the attic, she heard a soft scraping behind her. She froze, but when she turned back, the doll was still in place, staring at nothing with its eyeless face. The next 2 days passed in a blur of cardboard boxes, price tags, and dust. Carla sorted through her grandmother's belongings with clinical detachment, assigning value where she could and tossing the rest into donation bins. There was no time for nostalgia. She placed the eyeless doll on a high shelf near the entrance. Several times, she thought she had put it elsewhere, only to find it back on the same shelf. Each time, she assumed her mind was playing tricks on her. By Friday evening, she was ready. The tables were set up outside, goods neatly arranged, signs posted around the neighborhood. The forecast promised sun. Everything was in place. That night, the dreams started. She dreamed of a room she didn't recognize, dimly lit by a flickering candle. A circle of dolls sat on the floor, all facing inward, and in the center, the eyeless one. Except in the dream, it turned to her. It had a mouth, and it moved. "Don't look away," it whispered. She woke in a cold sweat, her heart pounding. The room was quiet, but something felt wrong. She got up to check the house. There, on the hallway table, was the doll. She had left it downstairs. Saturday morning dawned bright and warm, the kind of early summer day that made people eager to browse strangers' junk. Carla opened the garage and started hauling tables and boxes out onto the lawn. Neighbors strolled over, exchanging friendly smiles. Children ran barefoot on the sidewalk. The doll drew attention. An older woman in a pink sun hat leaned in close. "Strange piece. Where are the eyes?" Carla shrugged. "It came that way. My grandmother had it stored in the attic." The woman stepped back. "Should have left it there." By noon, Carla had sold most of the kitchenware, half the books, and a few vintage lamps. But no one touched the doll. People would approach, lean in for a better look, then recoil subtly and move on. Carla tried moving it to different tables. No difference. Then the man in black arrived. He was tall and stooped, his coat too heavy for the weather. He walked with a cane, but didn't seem to use it. His eyes, pale and sharp, scanned the tables until they landed on the doll. He picked it up. "Where did you get her?" Carla explained, sensing the unease in her voice. The man's lips thinned. "You shouldn't have brought her out," he said. "Some things remember too well." He set the doll down gently, then left without another word. That night, the dreams returned. The same room, more dolls. A rhythmic sound, like a heartbeat. The eyeless one was closer. Its mouth moved again. "You brought me back." Carla began locking the doll in the shed. Every morning, she'd find it on the front porch. Once, soaking wet as though it had been out in the rain, though there had been no rain. She began researching. She dug through her grandmother's diaries and old letters. In one, dated 1963, her grandmother wrote, "The little one came back today. I buried it. I prayed. It came back. It wants company." She found no records of the doll's origin, no manufacturer mark, no price tag. Just that blank face and the feeling that it was aware. She contacted a local historian, Margaret Hill, who specialized in folk beliefs and urban legends. Margaret agreed to meet her at the house. As soon as she stepped inside, Margaret went pale. "This doll," she whispered, "it's part of a story I heard once, about a woman in the 1800s who made dolls with no eyes so they couldn't see the dead. But one of them saw anyway. It started bringing them back." Carla swallowed. "Back from where?" Margaret shook her head. "Not from heaven." That evening, Carla heard footsteps upstairs. She lived alone. The house creaked often, but these steps were deliberate, measured. She climbed the stairs, holding her breath. The hallway was empty, but her grandmother's bedroom door was open. Inside, the eyeless doll sat on the bed. Its head was tilted toward her. She slammed the door and called Margaret. "I want to destroy it." "You can try," Margaret said, "but it might not stay gone. You'll need fire, salt, incantations. I'll send you what I know." Carla built a fire pit in the backyard that night. She wrapped the doll in cloth, sprinkled it with salt, and set it alight. The porcelain cracked. Black smoke billowed upward. She watched until only ash remained. The next morning, she found small white shards on her doorstep, and a note, written in unfamiliar handwriting. "You looked away." The nightmares returned, now more vivid. She dreamed of her grandmother, weeping in a rocking chair, holding the doll like a child. "I couldn't let her go," she sobbed. "She needed eyes." Carla woke to find her own eyes bloodshot, her vision flickering with shadows that moved too fast. She went to Margaret in person. Together, they performed a cleansing ritual, burning sage and chanting old words. For a while, it seemed to work, but the dreams never stopped. The doll returned once more, this time on Carla's pillow. Its face was cracked, but now it had eyes. Months later, the house was sold. A young couple moved in with their daughter. In the backyard, the girl found porcelain pieces buried under the rose bushes. She brought them inside, smiling. That night, her parents heard her talking to someone in her room. "She says she doesn't need eyes anymore," the girl said. "She sees through mine." Outside, the wind carried a whisper. "Let's play.